Hey everybody, I'm a Pokemon fan game developer, and I've been in the scene since late 2016. One of the things that I feel like is not talked about enough and there's not enough resources is how exactly to learn how to map. If there's anything that I think can make or break a fan game, it's definitely the map design. Mapping is a huge part of the DNA of fan games, and it's something that I see a lot of people struggle with. Looking back on my work since I've been a part of the scene, it made me realize how long I spent trying to learn how to make decent quality maps. This is part 1 of my How to Design Maps for Pokemon Games tutorial series. This series will cover how to design various types of maps for Pokemon fan games, using my own years of experience creating maps as well as studying maps from official games. As a quick FYI, this tutorial will not be covering how to operate RPG Maker XP's map editor nor any map metadata details within Pokemon Essentials. In this video, I'll be covering my process behind creating a starting town. Most Pokemon games tend to begin in a small town, so I figured it would be a great starting place for this tutorial series. The first thing I'm going to do is pretty self-explanatory. Let's put down some grass in my 38 by 33 tile map. You aren't limited to these small dimensions, but it's crucial not to make your map dimensions too big or too small. The next thing I'm going to do is form the borders of our map. What I've done here is surround my map with some trees and one layer of cliffs. The important things to keep in mind when creating borders for your map is the shape. My borders are still relatively rigid given the size of the individual tiles, but still being placed in a way that isn't too blocky or unnatural looking. If we look at something like Twin Leaf Town for example, we notice that the borders are entire full blocks of trees. Twin Leaf Town is a smaller map than the one I'm creating, so its shape is alright in the context of its size, but our map here started out a bit bigger, so we need to accommodate the shape of our map borders for its own size. This is why not making our map too blocky is important. The addition of a layer of cliffs to our map isn't as important as our trees, but it gives our map just a little something to break up the greenery. It's more so an aesthetic choice. The next thing I've done is place down my buildings. In smaller maps like these, the placements of our buildings isn't very complicated. Layouts typically range from 3 to 4 buildings placed either near borders or out in the open. Our first important thing to note here is that our buildings aren't too close to each other. The space between them may differ depending on things like map size or terrain, but we generally want to at least leave room for paths or other small details. Our next step is pathing. We're going to want to keep our paths relatively straight for easy player navigation. We should also avoid things like overly diagonal shapes that create awkward navigation and visual clutter. In our map, I've used a simple dirt path with a small patch of urban ground in front of our house stores. This type of ground is in line with what we tend to see from these types of maps, but you're free to experiment depending on what type of things you have in mind for towns of your own. Our final step here is the details. I've included things like flowers, fences, a small pond, and a few smaller 1x2 trees within our border. These are aesthetic choices to an extent, but can also factor into the overall layout. The fences and pond here are used mainly to break up the empty space on our map and add balance to what's in our environment. They also add to our pathing and generally refine how we're able to navigate our map. When adding these details, it's once again important to balance our open spaces with our areas of collision. We still need a little bit of space for our player to move around in beyond the visible paths. Adding all of these details to our layout and overall map aesthetic will create a comfortably navigable and visually pleasing experience. This last part is totally unscripted, but I want to thank you for watching the video. I've never really done anything like this before, so I really want to know what you guys think and how I can make it better, because I've been in the fan game scene for a long time, and I've also thought about doing these videos for a long time. Based on how much I wrote for the script and how much I recorded, I don't think this video is going to be very long. I don't really know if this series is going to be better in a longer short-term format. Maybe I need to do like a time-lapse while I talk about it, but I'm not sure. I'm gonna have to look into it and see what you guys think, but thank you again for watching the video.